So this has been a problem for me. I just last week ordered 3 sets of the same pair of pants online because three because I got one in regular, one in long, and then 2 different sizes. You know, because I just wasn't sure how they're going to fit. But the industry is coming up with something sounds pretty genius to me that could save me the trouble.
You know, I actually think this is genius. I think it's going to take a while until it's really working, but the idea is there, and it is huge. It involves getting the detailed specs for hundreds of clothing brands, every piece of clothing that they make, the precise measurements that they use when they're manufacturing them, and melding that with information that the shopper, that you would provide about your shape and the clothes that you like, and with a lot of math and a lot of algorithms making predictions about what's going to fit you really well and what you needn't bother trying.
So this would be sort of a universal system called TrueFit that when I shopped at any of these participating retailers, they'd all kind of share and pool this information so I wouldn't have to re-enter it each time?
Yeah, well, there's a company called TrueFit that was formed by a bunch of Boston mathematicians and some former retail executives. They're going to have the database, and then they're going to customize it for various retailers. So this week you can go on to Nordstroms.com or Macy's.com and try this out. There are other retailers that are going to be coming on, and a lot of brands are using it as well. So in the next few months, this has the potential to be pretty explosive. But each retailer will customize it for their consumers, and that's actually, in my opinion, having tried it out, that may be one of the problems.
So one of the questions I have for you, Chris, is that, you know, we always tend to maybe fudge a little bit when we answer these questions online about what size we are. How do they, I mean, can they actually, like, how do they know better than what the answers that we give them? Is there like another piece of information they're asking us to enter?
That's a great question, and yes, they in tests early on when they were developing this, they found that we all do fudge, even though you think it's cutting off your nose to spite your face. So what they're doing is they're not asking people to put in their measurements, which is the way a lot of earlier systems worked. In this case, you put in some simple demographic, age, height, and weight, and then you go to your closet and you choose your best fitting items, and you input the brands and the styles, you know, how long the skirt is, whether it's an A-line, some descriptors. And you also answer a few kind of strange questions about your body. One of the questions that it asks is where your tummy fits on your torso. Is it high, medium, or low? That's actually a question I'd never thought of before. But that's about as tricky as it gets. There's not a single measurement that you put in, nor your size.
And so basically they would sort of get a peek into what kinds of clothes we already have in the closet and enter that information. Now, the one pitfall I see with that is a size 4 in, say, Theory is not necessarily a size 4 at a J. Crew. I mean, there's wiggle room, and in fact, I find that the retailers or the clothing makers now are sort of going upward. They're being very generous. A size 4 might actually be a size 6. They're just trying to make us feel better. So how's that going to work out?
You're right. I'm getting smaller apparently over the years. You know, what happens is you have to have, it all goes back to that vast database they have with the technical specifications from the brands about their styles. So when I was putting information in, I had a couple of size 4s and I had a couple of size 10s. It's a massive variation. But when the math goes in and compares my size, it also compares it to that particular brand in that style. So if it's all working and they have the data, they already know the differences between a size 4 in one brand and a size 10 in another.
Interesting. And how soon should we expect to be really using this on a sort of massive level as we shop, Christina?
You know, it could happen very quickly. You can buy a dress right now at Nordstrom.com. You can buy jeans using it at Macy's. They're bringing on more brands. They've got about 350 brands now, and they expect to double that by the end of the year. And there are more retailers coming on besides those two very quickly. So if you know the key to this has been that in tests, the number of returns has been as much as halved. And that has really gotten retailers' notice.
Christina, how difficult is it to play with this? I mean, the one thing, you know, it takes long enough to sort of have to shop online and sort of figure out that they have the inventory or what have you. With all this other information you've got to add in, I mean, is it pretty seamless in terms of what you found playing with it, or is it just going to be yet another 15, 20, 30 minutes I've got to spend?
You know, I found it seamless. I was amazed. I was a bit skeptical about it. The most irritating part for me was trying to find clothes in my closet that they had in their list of brands. There were a few of my favorite dresses that Nordstrom.com doesn't sell, and so they didn't have them in their system. And that meant that my favorite best fitting dresses were not something I could input. And that made me trust the system a little less. The Nordstrom people say they're rethinking that and a lot of other things. But as far as once I had that information in, that took about 10 minutes. Every time I clicked on something that I wanted to buy, it gave me this great information about how it was going to fit me. It described how it would fit me in the bust, waist, and rear or hips. And then I could click to the right or left, and it would tell me if I went a size up or a size 10 or a size down, whether that would fit me and how that would fit my body, which gave me a great deal of confidence. It was kind of fun.